Hi there, everybody. Welcome to this special transmission. Perhaps you were missing your show, your classical D-Strip-Ando on Wednesday, but that's because we have a very special show with a very special guest. And allow me to introduce him, Jimmy Palmiotti. Jim, how are you doing?
Good, I'm doing terrific. How are you guys doing?
I believe we're just doing fine, but let me introduce the rest of the team. Right now, at my left on the screen, it's Ricardo. Zico, how are you doing?
Hi, glad to meet all of you.
All right, and down below in hell, no, well, not really hell, but we have the organizer, the main producer of this show, good Gilberto Nightboy. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine, and some people might say that hell is where I belong, but anyhow, anyway, here I am.
All right, so please remember that you can leave us some questions in YouTube. I will be also checking on the Facebook. But why don't we start with the main reason that we're here? Obviously, it's because of the guest, but he's a man of many talents. Actually, that's why we're going to do the rest of the interview in Spanish, because he is fluent on Spanish.
No.
And that's the end of the transmission. Thank you very much. No. Just kidding. So we want to talk with you, obviously, about your work. So, Gilberto, I believe that you have some questions prepared, right?
Yeah, but before the questions about what you're doing right now, Jimmy, and your forthcoming projects, there's something that I found very interesting following your career. You began as an inker, right? I remember
Yes,
your first works on inking the drawings, the art for Joe Quesada on X Factor.
I did a cover. I mean, the first stuff I did was I did a lot of Punisher comics, like back in early 90s, 91 and 92. And I jumped around on a lot of books like the Nam and a whole bunch of books. Joe and I connected doing covers. And but the first full book I inked over Joe was Exo-Zero for Valiant Comics.
Okay, yeah. Who can forget those marvelous
the first stuff
90s comic
was,
books? And from there, you moved. You started doing something else with Joey. Correct me if I'm right. If I'm wrong. Something called Ash. That is your property, right?
It's Bank Comics, no?
We put together our own company, which was just me, Joe, and one other person, and we put out a book called Ash, which was about a fireman superhero. And we put out a book called Painkiller Jane, which was about a cop that wouldn't die, female cop. And Kid Death and Fluffy and a couple of other books we did for a couple of years. We put these out while we were also working for Marvel and DC at the same time.
Okay, yeah, I remember you doing the cover of Batman or Detective. I remember quite well. It was during the Night Quest, Night Falls, something like that, around that time.
We were doing we're doing a lot of covers. We were also doing a lot of Wizard covers. I think we did every other month. We were doing another Wizard cover. So we were Joe and I were trying to do as many high profile jobs as we could to get our names out there, and again, to help when we self-published, because when you self-publish, it's a risk. You put all your money into something and you hope somebody wants to buy it. So we did pretty good though.
Yeah, and something that really surprised me, and trying to move make it a little faster this part of the conversation, is that you jumped from. That's what I noticed. From drawing, inking, all that stuff, and suddenly I was reading books you were writing. How this progression came to be?
It came, when I was inking work, I was also editing, because we were editing Marvel Knights in 97, 98, and we so I was working with a lot of writers, and I started seeing that a lot of the inking was going to go to digital, so people were going to scan their pencils. And, I figured, let me make sure I still have a job and do something else. And I've always enjoyed writing stories, so I started pitching stories to different companies. And some of them I did with Marvel. Like Marvel, I wrote a year worth of Deadpool, and DC, I was writing Superboy. And I think at the same time, Amanda and I were doing Gatecrasher for Black Bull Comics. So I started writing more, and eventually the writing work took over the artwork part of my job. So I kind of stuck with the writing, and that's what I've been doing ever since.
And how does it feel? What part of all the comic book process do you prefer? Do you find more appeal to the drawing, the writing, the inking, the reading process?
My favorite part is getting paid.
Okay.
Getting a check in cash. No,
yeah.
I like the collaboration on the writing and working with an artist. Because it's one thing to write something, and it's another thing to see somebody else create the visuals for what you're writing. So it's still an exciting job for me, and it always will be. But it's different. It's definitely with every artist, it's like a different experience. Some people I work with are tremendous, and they get what I'm writing and they take it further. Some are just okay, and but it's a great process, and it's something that I like to do. And my writing, when you're writing, you do many things. So I've also written video games and TV shows and stuff like that. So it's kind of taken a lot of different paths over the years.
And actually, if I may, that's one of the most interesting things about your career is that perhaps we remember more about your art, but for example, for me, there are a lot of comics where your writing, it was like first, at the beginning, it was like a really nice surprise, and then it was like a seal of quality. For example, the All-Star Western is one of my all-time favorites. I really enjoyed that, the way that you portrayed the characters, and I was really sad when the title came to a close. But however, you obviously you continued writing with different collaborators. I believe that obviously with Amanda Conner and also with Justin Grace have been some of the most appealing materials recently. But you are working in plenty of things. I am going to share the screen to the audience where they can check a lot of the materials, and you are involved obviously on film with the different adaptations. You already mentioned in video games. I believe that was with Warren Ellis, or with who was it?
The first game I worked on was with Garth Ennis. We did the Punisher game years ago. We also wrote the Ghost Rider game. And then over the years, we worked, on the property Dead Space. Justin Gray and I wrote the screenplay for the animated, the Dead Space animated movie, and then we wrote for Injustice, the game Injustice, the first game, and we've done a lot. Mortal Kombat versus DCU. There was a lot of games in a row, and then I kind of moved on from the games to other things. Everything's so much work, so much work involved, but the games were fun for a while. I did enjoy doing that.
All right. So, and perhaps, what's your relationship with video games? It was only for writing, or perhaps you are an avid player, or is there something else?
No, I play them. I love playing them. I don't do it too often. It's sort of like a treat. Like I have to work a lot, and then I can take a break and go play a game. But I do play them. I don't play them online so much because when I signed up, I signed up under my own name. So every time I play online, somebody recognizes me and shoots me. So I don't get to play very long. But I do play them. But I also I love movies and I love film, and so we watch a lot of films. Amanda and I go out to the movies all the time, and I like anything that tells a story. I'm kind of a big fan of.
Among all the things that you do, you just said writing, collaborating. How hard or how complicated was for you working for DC Comics? You were writing just recently Harley Quinn, big success, along with Amanda, and suddenly you are also collaborating with, correct me if I'm wrong, the script for the cinematographic version of Painkiller Jane. And yes, you're also launching a Kickstart, and you have like 7 projects on your Paper Films page.
Yeah.
How hard is for you to to combine all these different plots?
The good part is it doesn't all come at once, right? So with Painkiller Jane, I worked on the outline for the film. So the outline went to Jessica Chastain and a screenwriter, and now they're working on the screenplay. So they don't need me until that's all done, and if they need changes or whatever. While that's going on, the Kickstarter was a book. Killing Time in America is the Kickstarter that's up now on Kickstart, and I've been working on that on the side with Justin Norman Moritat from All Star Western. So so we've been working on that for the past year. So he's done with his art. We're waiting for the coloring to come in from Paul Mounts, and since the Kickstarter has another week left, the book will go to press in a week or two. So what I do is I keep a lot of lists. So I have a pad all the time, and on the pad I'm constantly making a list of what I have to do and then crossing it off as I do them. And pretty much every day I wake up, I'm sure you guys do the same, you wake up and say, what do I have to do today, right? What is it? Well, I write them down, and then as I finish them, I cross them off. So I have some sense of accomplishment for the day.
Okay.
But it's been easier to do this because when Amanda and I were working on Harley Quinn, we were actually writing 2 to 3 books a month, and for 4 years. And during this time, we didn't get to do much else except work. So when we left the book a couple of months ago, we've been actually vacationing a little bit and taking it easy, and spending more time together, which is a great thing to do because we didn't. Again, Harley was like a monster. We never, when we started it, we never thought it was going to be a big hit, and then a year into it, it's a monster. It's something that we never saw coming, and so we did our best to keep up with the madness of the character and everything we created. But after 4 years and I don't know how many books, 70, 80, 90 books, whatever, we felt like it was time to take a break. And that's where we are right now. So I'm taking a break and I'm slowing down, even though it looks like I'm more busy or busier. A lot of the stuff that I'm doing has either been done or it's going to be done or in the process of being done. So I do have a lot more time to myself these days.
One of the things that surprises me the more when I was reading and checking all your work was that you have a pretty close relation with Frank Gehry, which is involved in paper films too, right?
Yes.
Did you decide that, or you suggested that he would take over Harley Quinn and collaborating with him in all the paper film projects, or it came by him telling the powers to be on DC Comics, or how did it happen?
He put a gun to my head.
How did you decide who?
He told me, he said, you better know that it's fake. Plastic. Anyway, he's a good friend, and he did a fill-in issue on Harley. The one fill-in issue we had on Harley, and he did a great job. And I met Frank when Joe and I started Marvel Knights. Frank Thierry actually worked in the digital part of Marvel Comics. We did the first online comic book, which was a Daredevil short comic. So Frank and I know each other for a long time. We're good friends, but he understood the sense of humor and the characters for the book. So when we were ready to go, I recommended Frank, and Frank has enough credits on his own. He was an easy guy to hire for it, and we worked on the Gang of Harleys together. So he kind of knew the characters already. So I thought it was a good match, and now we have somebody else. I think he did like 6 or 8 issues, and then they have somebody else on, and that's what will happen for the rest of time. Somebody else will be doing it. But for now, we made our mark, and I think we have one book yet to come out. We did a special, and I can't say what it is, but it'll be coming out maybe the end of the year that we did with Harley. But that's it. That's it for a while. So we feel we made our mark. So time to take a break.
how hard or how easy is to work with Amanda? Because you're living in the same house, you share the time the whole day.
Yeah,
You eat together, wake up together, eat together, everything together. How
we
hard or
do.
how
We do.
complicated it is?
She's great to work with because she's a lot smarter than me, so that's good. And then we like working together. We like spending time together, obviously, because we're married, right? But it's a lot of fun working with her because what I'm not good at, she's great at, and vice versa. So I'm downstairs, she's upstairs, so that helps. And
Okay.
but it's just fun to collaborate with. I've made a career out of collaborating with people. Like you guys do the podcast together, right? I like working with people because it's a lot more fun and you get new ideas. And when you collaborate, you have to be open to working with other people, and not everybody is. So for me, it's great. And working with Amanda, our whole next projects are all with each other. We're doing a lot of stuff together. So it's been great. The only time we argue is if we both think we're right about something, but usually it's her that's right, and I just give in. So,
All right.
Okay.
Jimmy, we have some questions from our patrons, from the audience, and
Sure.
specifically, Rodrigo Diaz is asking like, how do you do to be actually able to make to be without the activities, because you have a lot of successful projects. So basically, he's asking if you have a particular superpower or something. Are you are you in contact with the Speed Force or something like that? I don't know.
I'm organized. I'm focused. I'm not on the computer a lot. Like, I'm not on the internet, and I keep to a schedule. So I get up in the morning and I work. So not everybody does that. Also, I work at home, so I don't have to travel to work, right? So I save some commuting time. But I put time aside for everything. I try to figure out how long things will take, and the other thing is you have to work hard when you do what I do, because comic books don't pay very much. So you kind of have to hustle a lot of work in order to pay bills. And I've been doing it long enough that I know how to do it by now, but comic books aren't a big money kind of thing. We're not really big celebrities, or anything like that. It's just, comics are just, you do them out of love. So part of the love is you have to do a lot of them sometimes to make some money.
Another question from the audience, and actually has a little bit to do with this, is that, you have been working, and we mentioned, on video games. You are working currently, obviously, on comic books. You have your own projects. But what do you think about the recent boom? Well, it's not so recent, but the boom of the superhero characters in all the media. On TV shows, I believe that we're in the golden age of adaptations. I mean, Legion, it's a wonderful show. We have plenty of wonderful shows. But what do you think about this? Let's say that it's in fashion to have a superhero.
Well, we're all happy about it, right? Because we grew up with these characters, so it's fun to see them on the screen. As a creator, I wish the companies were a little more generous, including us, in all the money they're making, but that's not the case. But I do enjoy seeing that. Look, it's great that there's a Black Panther movie. It's great that the TV shows are there. I just worry that people will be looking at that and reading less. So I worry about the future of comics, because, Black Panther is the biggest Marvel movie ever, but comic stores tell me they hardly sell any more Black Panther comics. People just don't buy them. So I worry that although it's fun and it's great, as usual, it's making a lot of money for the people that make the films, and as usual, the comic people aren't benefiting from it so much. So I worry that we have to kind of work harder to make sure we have an audience for our comics, and the films don't have to work hard because they have the audience. It's out there everywhere. So I worry a little bit, but I think it's a good thing. I think it pleases me more when I see something like The Boys by Garth Ennis being picked up as a show, or Preacher, or Neil Gaiman's show, and that kind of makes me happier. The smaller kind of creator-owned characters getting on the TV, for me, is a lot more interesting. I think Warner Brothers and Disney have a lot of money, and they have a lot of success. And I worry, too, that at some point, these big companies look at the comics and say, well, you know, Superman and Batman are already a hit. Black Panther and Avengers are already hit. We don't really need to put out the comics. They don't make enough money, so let's not bother with them. And I worry about that sometimes because, you know, when they mine the comics, when they say, all right, we took this idea from this comic and we're making movies, let's be honest, the Avengers movie will make more money in a day than all the comics they put out for the year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I worry I worry at one point they might go, well, why should we keep making comics? You know, I worry about that a little bit.
And also, checking just some numbers, I'm sharing the screen also with the audience, is that specifically about Black Panther, they sold 28,000 issues in February. And yes, of course, it's over 1.2 billion on the box office. But well, and it's kind of interesting because people keeps trying to convince themselves that yes, we have more diversity, but it's not exactly diversity when all the characters are from one or two companies. But well, I'm talking about the diversity. Rick, do you have any questions? Because you are like really concentrated on the conversations.
I'm listening to all the work that is Jimmy developing, but I know that there is another character that you love very much, that is the Monolith, no?
Yes, look, I can...
The film is stuck, or what is the status of that?
Okay, so the film was at Lionsgate.
Lionsgate, yeah.
And we had a screenplay, we had an actress, we had a director, we had everything. And then Lionsgate canceled a bunch of films, and that was one of them. So we got almost to the point where they shot it, and then it all fell apart. And that's pretty much Hollywood in a nutshell. It happens so much. You know, one thing fails though, and another thing gets picked up. You know, we were very close with that one. Where I can tell you, like, Random Acts of Violence is one that actually will get made, and it's going to be happening. We'll be shooting it in fall. It looks like in the fall. So we're hoping that. But you know, these things fall apart, and I'm honest. I got to be honest with you. I love the films, and I love doing, you know, creating properties for film. But I can never live off the money from them because they fall apart easily, or they. You know, they treat it like, you know, they put things in production and then sometimes it never happens. So an average studio will have 100 movies going at once, but only like 5 or 10 will get made. And that happens all the time. You know, that's why cable is so cool, because, you know, cable, you can do a lot more things on.
Okay. Speaking of cable, have you ever tried to pitch, I don't know, Sex and Violence, which is other of your properties on sale on paper film on the website, to HBO or I don't know, another cable station?
So I have a manager that handles me. His name is Lenny Beckerman, and he goes out with my properties. And Sex and Violence is one that we discussed would fit a format. I'm a big fan of Black Mirror. Do you guys know Black Mirror?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I look at like Sex and Violence as could be done like the cable series Black Mirror. So yeah, we go out and pitch. We pitch Super Zero. We pitch Denver. We pitch Denver as a TV show. We go out and pitch, and you know, we talk and we go back and forth, and then sometimes they fall apart. Sometimes we continue. You know, ones I have out there now is Back to Brooklyn is one we're trying to. I wrote a screenplay with Craig Whedon on, and so we go out and we try to sell them, and people are interested for a while, or falls apart, or we get development deals, and then it goes nowhere. You know, we have The Pro at Paramount right now. You know, we read the screenplay, and that was great. So we'll see what happens. But I don't believe anything until I'm sitting in the theater watching it. That's all there is to it, you know. It's not like comics where we can go and put them out. I can write it, my buddy can draw it, and then we can put it out. it's not that easy. You know, films have thousands of people and millions of dollars, and that's why it's hard. It's hard to get this stuff going. But I have hope that as they keep looking for new properties, someone will stumble on something else I've done, or maybe Jane gets a good attention, and then they look at the other stuff I do. You know, at the end of the day, I don't really worry about it. I worry about what I'm going to have for dinner and what I'm going to do next on my drawing board, and don't worry about that stuff so much.
All right.
This year, Jimmy, you are focusing that properties to distribute them, avoiding the writing and drawing charge of comics. You are focused to that.
I got the signal got cut off. I couldn't hear you too well on it. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Please repeat the question, Rick.
If this year you are focused to the sell or move that properties to the studios, now that you are avoiding to that much load of work that you were having writing or drawing, no?
I'm not, again, I'm not getting the question. It keeps getting broken up. Can one of you guys maybe
yeah, he's telling you that he's asking you that you are pretty busy selling to the studios all your projects on video, well, the scripts and all that related, and also you are writing, which represent more work for you.
Yeah, the comic books are the main focus because it's something I do well, and I don't need 100 people to do, and I don't need a lot of money to do. And I can even run an idea through a Kickstarter and see if there's an audience for it. So the screenwriting, I work with a buddy, Craig Whedon, and we do 2 to 3 screenplays a year. But none of them has been made yet. We've sold 1 or 2, but none of them have been made yet. So when I do comics, everything I write is sold in a way. I'm getting paid for. So first and foremost, I do my books that I get paid for, so I can have the time to work on my own stuff for free, you know.
All right.
It's a balance. It's a balance.
Yeah, first you have to take care of what actually is taking care of yourself. I mean, it's basic needs. We have a couple of more questions from the audience, and after that, I believe that we're going to reach the almost the final part of the transmission. And Juan Espiritu, another of our patrons, is asking like, how can you create so many stories that are very different from each other?
You know, like everybody out there, I like a lot of different things. So I like all kinds of music. I like world music. I like everything, right? And movies, I like horror movies. I like science fiction. I like drama. I like comedies. I like westerns. So when you like so much, you kind of want to work on all of them. So I do like different genres. It's not always easy to switch gears. It's not easy. Like after doing Jonah Hex for 6 years, writing Harley Quinn was a little different, right? So, but I grew up with Bugs Bunny and Looney Tunes, and Harley was kind of a natural thing to do after that. But I think it's just a matter of what you love, and for me, I like all the different genres. I grew up not only reading superheroes, I read westerns and horror comics way more than superheroes. I preferred Conan and the Swamp Thing more than Superman or Batman. I like, you know, and I love Jonah Hex. That's why I got to write him later on. But I liked Killraven, and I liked, you know, all the freedom fighters and all these different things. So so when I write, I like different genres. I don't, you know, we all don't want to be bored. And I think if you only write one character all the time and that's it, it gets boring after a while. And I think people can tell if you're bored when you're doing something. I could definitely tell when a writer or an artist is bored with what they're doing. I don't even want to look at it. So for me, I keep it interesting by switching gears and trying different genres.
And you mentioned specifically Jonah Hex, well, the All-Star Western. I already mentioned that it's one of my favorite titles, and I am going to dare something. Actually, I brought my comic books. I know that we are not in a convention, but could you virtually sign Jonah Hex All-Star Western 25? Just yes, please, just do that. And yes, I will fill it with the marker in here. I will sell it on. No, this is obviously for my collection, and we have some more.
You know what's funny? So I have the site paperfilms.com is my site, right? So we offer if you mail us the books for a price, we'll sign them.
I see.
So a lot of people, because I don't get to other countries sometimes, they send a little box, and I sign all the books and we send them back. So we do offer that, but I hope to get down. We were going to be in South America at one point, and then it had to get canceled on our end because I got sick. But I'm hoping to do a little more traveling in the next year or two. So hopefully get your way down where you guys are.
Yeah, that will be that will be great. And actually, for the rest of the audience, remember that you can visit paperfilms.com, and they also have different sections, obviously, of the projects that are in development. It's impressive when you look at the clients that you have, the different projects that you have developed. It's really impressive the kind of work, the quality of the work, and also, well, of course, there is a shop where you can order prints, order different kinds of apparel, digital prints, digital copies of the different comics. So people, if you have the time, believe me that it's really worth just to go and look at paperfilms.com. And let's see if we have some final questions. Ricardo, do you have something else?
Only I wish I would like to see you again writing Conan. Going to Marvel Comics, no?
Well, I never say never about Marvel, and Conan's one of my favorites. So I love Conan and Red Sonja. So who knows? I talk to Joe Quesada all the time, so you never know what's going to happen.
Okay, it would be really nice. Thanks a lot, Jimmy.
Okay.
All right, Gilberto, final question.
Yeah, I've been following your threads on Twitter. You're pretty active on Twitter. And I've seen that it's kind of disappointing. Some people, it's supporting you on your Kickstarter, Killing Time in America. Which harder, to sell or a pitch to a company, or to sell the product on Kickstarter?
Well, Kickstarter, you're selling it to an audience that wants to see it. So when you sell to a company, they it's usually they want to own a piece of it, right? They want, I want your idea, we like it, but we want to own half of it, and then we want to control all the rights, and we want to own everything, so a lot of times not all my things I don't want to go to a big company for, because I don't want to give away everything. And I just imagine let's just imagine if I owned a piece of Black Panther or Punisher or Daredevil or Inhumans, right? All the Marvel Knights books. If I owned the 1%, I'd be a rich man right now.
You should be working right now.
Yeah. So, so I and with the Kickstarter, it gives me I get to sell right to my audience. So the audience says, oh, I like this, I'm going to support it. Or I don't like this idea, I'm not going to support it. So right away, you have interaction with your audience. Plus, we talk if you have a problem, and we communicate and through the Kickstarter. So for me, it's a very rewarding experience. And again, it's people that believe in my work and want to see what I'm going to do next. So I find it very exciting. It is a lot of packages to put in envelopes and to ship. And it usually takes me a whole month to get them all out. Me and my friend Patrick, we ship out over 1,000 packages, and I put each one in the envelope and tape it up and write the address, and we do it all ourselves. So if there's blood, or if I cut myself, that's my blood in your package, and you can take that DNA and make another 2 of me, because I'm getting tired of doing all
the backup copies.
Yeah.
All right. So let me check. We have actually it's not like a question, but perhaps a request from the audience, and
Sure.
they are asking if you have like any recommendations of something that you're either watching or reading these days. You already mentioned a TV show,
Okay.
but something else that you're watching that you like to
Yeah,
recommend?
I kind of like if you have Netflix, I would recommend Ozark.
Yeah, yeah,
Is
yeah.
it is a good show. Let's see. I saw two good movies recently. Annihilation,
Mm-hmm.
which wa-
You watch it
which
at the cinema?
yeah, I went to the cinema to see it.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, because I asked that because well, you know how the distribution deals are being done internationally, and only in the
Yeah.
United States it got a release. For the rest of the world, I believe that lucky us because we actually could watch it on Netflix. In the rest of the
That's
world,
great.
it's released in on Netflix. So, and
It's a good movie, and I saw Red Sparrow.
I see.
Which
Oh,
did you guys see it or no?
yeah.
Yes, I did, but I
Not
didn't
yet.
quite like it. But
You didn't like it? Oh, okay. I liked it because I actually thought it was gonna be like that neon blonde or whatever that was.
Atomic Blonde.
Atomic Blonde.
Atomic Blonde, and I was like, I wasn't crazy about that movie because it was just nonstop action. There was no story.
Uh-huh.
So I enjoyed Red Sparrow because there was a lot of story to it.
It
So,
was it was in a way the opposite of that one, but I don't know. Perhaps because I watched it before Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. For me, it was a way better spy movie, but it's an
it is better. Actually, Tinker Tailor is better. So
yeah, but it's an unfair comparison. So I know.
no,
that I'm
no,
cheating.
no. I like I said, I like going to the movies in the cinema because I like to get out of my house. Because I work all the time, and so it's good to see comedies because then the audience is laughing. So it's a more fun. It's a fun experience. It's great to have Netflix and to have Amazon, all these different things, but sometimes you need to get out and have a beer and watch a movie. It's a lot more fun.
Yeah. And well, speaking of which, we are about to finish this transmission. Thank you, first of all, Jimmy, for your time, and sorry for all the trouble. I actually saw some of your tweets where you were also complaining of our main way to communicate, which is Google Hangouts. Luckily,
Google Hangouts drove me crazy today.
Yeah.
Today was like Google had it out for me today. I'm hoping I'm going to get a buddy in to try to fix it for me because for some reason it just was not working all day.
Yeah, but
So-
luckily we could contact you via Skype, and I believe that this actually
Yeah.
went very well. We didn't have
Yeah.
any problems with the transmission. Thank you very much for all the patrons, especially for our special producers, the co-producers, the executive producers, all the producers that we have, particularly with Rodrigo and with Juan, with are right now in the chat. They were the ones that were asking all these questions. Rodrigo actually says that Red Sparrow is really good, so he's right in your camp. And
There you go.
thank you to all the people who is watching this, and remember that the audio will be available for this. If you want to rather listen this on your cell phone, it will be available tomorrow on the regular channel on the Strip-Ando, and we will be tweeting the links as soon as it's available. Jimmy, thank you very much for your time.
Oh, thank you guys. This was a lot of fun.
All right, and well, we go with the animation that I have somewhere around here.